The Operator. Every year I like to do a full motion video game because I love the genre. However, most of the time these games are just movies cut up into gameplay that's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing. This game is different though. It uses full motion video to add flavor to the story instead of leaning on it, and I think it mostly works. I do wish that full motion video sections were better than just grainy video, but since the story is based in 1992, it's a fair representation of what security cameras would have looked like back then. I've talked before and even did a review on EA's game Majestic. It's all about using the real world in conjunction with the game to tell a story. I loved it when it came out 25 years ago, and I'm going to say this is the closest that I have played to replicating that experience. It had everything Majestic had when it came to the gameplay, talking with people on chat, as well as on the phone, helping with the security system, and doing other things just using your computer. The only thing it didn't have was the real world elements, like getting real emails, faxes, or phone calls. But maybe one day we'll get a game that does all those things again. Thinking about it, it actually reminded me of another game that I reviewed called Killer Frequency, which is all about solving puzzles while being behind a microphone for a radio station. I think the story is better than that one, as it tries to round out the story with things that are not directly involved with the plot. Now this is all about Evan Tanner, as it's your first day as an operator for the FBI. You'll get phone calls from people who need your help, and you're going to use the programs they give you to access cameras and clean up the video and search for clues. A hacker named Hal logs in to talk to you. They have a case they want you to help solve, and since it's kind of your job normally to do so, with a little bit of goading, you end up doing it. You're going to find out the cases are linked, and you, the caseworkers, and Hal secretly all try to figure out what's going on. Now this is really a point-and-click adventure game, which is hidden behind the freedom to click on whatever you want on your computer. That being said, there are steps you have to follow, and you really can't get ahead of it for the most part. When you're talking to people, you pick from dialogue responses, but they don't really have any long-term effects, and it only has one ending as far as I know. I wish you could have taken different paths. I usually don't love games with multiple endings, but this title is fairly short, as it can be beaten in 3 hours, so it wouldn't have been that big of a deal to have different endings. My biggest complaint with this game are these: the explanation on how to use the windows. I know that may sound strange, but hold on. They never go away. They actually got in the way of one of the puzzles, where we're supposed to overlap the 2 windows. I couldn't read the answer because of these help boxes. I looked everywhere in the options to turn them off, as well as pressing every button. When it says press the B button to close, it means the window. Even as the game was ending, I was still dealing with these annoying help boxes. I checked the PC version, as I actually got it for free on Epic Games when they did that as a giveaway, and they're just not there. But since the game is set up like you would see on a desktop, I'm guessing they didn't think you needed a constant refresher on how to open and move windows. Moving around the windows was a little bit annoying with the console controls, and I get that it's confusing at times, but they should have kept like a control cheat sheet on the option menu like most games do. Every case that comes in is part of a bigger plot. There is no filler in this game, and that's good, but it leaves no time for character development. It also ramps up the difficulty fairly quickly because of it. You're going to go from looking at security footage to defusing bombs in the span of an hour. Now the game is broken down into 4 days, and I do think day 3 is the weakest because of the very confusing thing the game wants you to do at the end. They basically give you a manual and say, figure it out, and then they'll give you an actual time limit, unlike everything else in the game. But to their credit, they say, don't read the whole manual, just try to follow the steps. But the steps are not exactly clear. The rest of the puzzles and the things they had to do I thought were great. It was odd that they put such a clunker towards the end of the game. Everything was voice acted, and I think they did a great job. And the game really makes you feel like you're going through evidence and files. Plus the real photos they put in were a fun touch as well. The Operator had an interesting story in the fairly brief time that it lasted. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think it needed more filler cases, so it wasn't so obvious everything was linked. Normally I'm against those sort of things. The ending was unexpected, which is both good and bad, and it sort of left things open for a sequel, which I actually hear is happening. I hope they make it longer next time around, and fix the help screen issue that I had to deal with. Now this is normally $13.99, and I would say wait for it to go on sale. It was entertaining, but it was way too short to get it at full price. Once you play it, there's no real reason to go back, because dialogue choices really don't matter. There's only slight changes. So if you're interested in this, I would wait till this was on a good sale.